Hello, today we are going to talk about 5 web content mistakes you want to avoid. Welcome to another episode of 5 Business Rules. I'm Monica.
I'm Nicole.
And the reason I chose these web content mistakes to avoid is because Yoast SEO, which is a phenomenal plugin for WordPress websites, hates this stuff. And they will flag these mistakes. And why do they hate these mistakes?
Well, keep in mind, it doesn't really matter if Yoast does it, but hates your mistakes. But Yoast is trying to give you an idea of what Google likes or hates. And so when they're giving you an angry red face, or then that means that Google's not going to be happy. So you want your efforts to pay off.
Exactly, and you know what? It leads to better writing and readability. Okay, so the first things first, using passive voice. Now, the reason passive voice is bad, and we do it all the time in our conversations.
Let's give people an example of what passive voice is.
Okay, so active voice would say the dog ate dinner. Passive voice is the dinner was eaten by the dog.
It's wordier.
It's not as straightforward. It's not as clear. It just makes your content longer and a little harder to understand.
And it gets people when you have to, when you have to read the sentence aloud to make it make sense, you don't want that on the web.
No, exactly. So some passive voice is okay, it sounds natural, but you really need to cut it down. And I think Yoast draws the line at 20%. It's 20%-ish, somewhere in there. Not writing enough text. So we've talked about this in other videos. Search Google, let's just forget the other search engines. Google needs a certain amount of text. They need a certain number of words on a page to understand what's on it so they can index it. So if you're under 300 words, Yoast is going to be like, woohoo, this is too short. You need more words.
And it's one thing with this is because we do this, especially on service pages, when people want to be straight into the point. You'd be amazing. You can get a good 100 words out of a quote or something and that's actually going to help your service page too. But so there's sometimes there's if you don't know what to say, there's easy ways to pull in some extra content.
Yeah, exactly. Pull in your client customer reviews and recommendations. All right, number 3, long paragraphs and sentences. So I always say 2 to 3 sentences max. I mean, if they're short sentences, you can probably get away with 4 to 5. However, Yoast SEO does not like sentences of more than 20 words. So if you have too many sentences that are longer than 20 words, you're going to be called out for it.
And this is one of those things, this is honestly when I'm editing my team stuff for SEO, I'm tightening this type of stuff. I'm adding paragraph breaks. I'm turning, anytime that there's a list, it should always be bullets,
Bulleted.
not
in a paragraph.
And so because we've talked before about just the fact that people don't really read online, they skim.
No, skim.
And so anything that's bulky, it's just not fun.
Yeah, they're not going to skim it, let alone read it. All right, number 4, not using enough transition words. And you know what transition words were. You can Google an entire list, but that's a transition word. But, and, unless, however, therefore, there are a lot out there. And the reason transition words are rewarded by Yoast SEO is because they connect thoughts. So again, it's making your ideas easier to read and understand.
Well, it's when you're in a conversation and you're talking about this, and all of a sudden it's a left turn, and you're like, wait a minute, where'd we go? It's that same, you can ask her where she went, but when it's just reading online, again, you lose it and you're like, I don't want to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm out. All right, last but not least, not using headings properly. Again, this is something that we've talked about. H2, H3, H4 aren't just cute little website.
It's not just a color thing.
It's not a color thing. It's not something that web designers and developers love. That actually creates separation for Google between the points that you're making in blog posts on your web pages. There's subheaders. It's organizing your information. But by using the H1, H2, H3 tags, you're telling search engines, this is the new section of content, and this is what the content is about.
It is a lot of the things we do for usability and for Google and a bonus, because like we said, we're skimming those. You need those breaks up that's skimmable. It's just, but taking the time to make sure they're formatted correctly can make a huge difference.
Exactly. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and share, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.